Good. I like that. Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Her dulcet tone invites us. Hey, I see that Armando looks just the way I did a minute ago. Uh-oh. Hey, guys, just a second. I need to step aside for 30 seconds here. I'll be right back. I apologize.
Okay. Whew. Well, gonna warm up again this week, they said.
Just what we needed.
Yeah,
I just went and got my little fan.
I have my overhead going.
Yeah. I got them in all the rooms except this one.
It's been very
Thank
humid
you.
too.
I'm on my wife's iPad, so any phone calls she gets show up on the screen here, and I had to let her know something. Anyway, nice to see everyone. Thank you. Looks like the whole, except maybe Vic, the whole group is here. Thanks. That's good. And we shall proceed.
All right, I'll screen share the agenda.
Thank you. The massive, mighty agenda.
Whoops.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, a little bit of drama, but all is well. Thanks for putting that up on the screen, John. Is everybody able to see the? All I see is the top part. Can you scroll it up a little bit?
Yeah, you want
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay.
okay.
All the fabulous, fabulous input. Well, I think we all thought by this time we'd be back to some kind of reasonable version of what's normal or was normal. Of course, we're not. So it is good at this point that we will be on this Zoom process at least through the end of the year. And let's hope that it goes, oh, thank you. And let's hope that it winds up at some point after that. But for now, here we are. We start with public comment on non-agenda items. Anybody who has any thoughts? I'm not sure. Do we have any attendees? No, there is an attendee. The attendee with the phone number. Okay. Well, then I would ask panelists, members, and attendees if anyone has any public comment.
Hi there.
Chuck. Hi,
Thank
Chuck.
you. Okay, it's a tree issue. All the new trees they planted up on Western Avenue.
What's that again, Chuck? The trees they planted
Trees.
on West Avenue?
Yeah.
Which trees are those, Chuck?
Oh, well, the ones they planted from 9th Street going towards the ocean, south.
Oh, okay.
And the ones before that from, can't think of the name of the street. Oh, God.
North of there?
Huh?
Are you trying to think of a street north of there?
Yeah, it begins with W.
Weymouth.
Weymouth, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
From Weymouth to west is about, I count at least 10 trees that are dead,
Oh,
which is
Okay.
normal for the course. Anytime a city plants a tree, about a fifth of them die. I don't know why. But anyway, they need to be taken care of. They need to be replanted. Also on Westmont Drive is at least 6 trees been removed or dying. So that's my,
Six?
that's my
6
concern.
trees, okay. Westmont, 6 trees have been removed or need to be removed.
Well, ones that are, yeah, they need to be removed and replanted.
Okay, so there's
Some
6
have,
dead.
some have died off and they're just spades.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
Others are dying and need to be replaced also.
okay. All right, we will, thanks for your public comment. I wrote it down so I don't forget about it. Thank you, and we will move on. Any other public comment? I think my public comment is simply was illustrated by Chuck just now. We are on the lookout for issues that issues and conditions that affect the community around us. John Barbera and I, sort of in the tradition of Laurel and Hardy, I guess, except we don't deliver pianos up staircases, have been out and about. As we receive comments from people, we'll go check things out, or on occasion, we'll just simply drive around and take notes of things we see that need some care. And we will certainly continue with that. But hearing from Chuck about these trees now, Chuck just mentioned those trees. I'm so observant, I didn't even see that. So it's wonderful to have eyes and ears on the community. And we want to know what the neighbors are thinking, what's concerning them, and try to do our best to be of service. And I see John DeMeglio. Hello, John. Your hand is up.
Hi,
Hello.
Dan. I just have the same concerns that I have. These trash trucks are still out of our on Westmont, and nothing's been done with it. And we need to do something. The neighbors are getting pretty ticked off about it. As you see how the elections went this last time, they're real ticked off. So, you know, we need to do something. Nothing's being done. So that has to be revisited and taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is public comment and the way it's meant to be. And any others? Do I see any other hands?
I had a comment on it with John.
Well, check. Hey, check.
Yeah,
Yeah. This is public comment, so let's not comment on the comment. We're just taking information in, and we'll discuss things later. Certainly as agenda items or outside this meeting, but that's about all we can say right now. But I appreciate hearing from you and John, and that's public comment. So we will not forget those items. We'll proceed, and but for now we will move on. The item number 3, John Barbera. Do you have an update on the, I'm not sure update is the word, but a movement report?
Yeah,
on
we have,
skate park?
yeah, I talked to Axel, and he had wrote back to me that the skate park is moving ahead, and right now it is they're just getting, looks like Harbor is going to release it probably in the next month or two, because the skate association, they're working on the insurance, and they're in the process of getting the insurance. And it's he says it still looks like for the fall that they're going to start working on it. I also told him, I said, the damn thing looks like a pigsty. You know, no matter how many times we clean it, they won't let us go there to clean, because the harbor, you know, harbor police won't let us go in there. So he's aware of it. He says as soon as they their insurance passes, then they're gonna, first thing they'll do is get some bins over there, get people to go and clean it and everything, repaint all the stuff, get all the graffiti off the posts, and be starting to get the park back open, fix the the ramps and all of that, and put some safety stuff there. So that's where we're at right now.
Excellent. Thank you. And yeah, John, the condition of that property is deplorable. And so I'm glad that part of their mandate, once they do get permission, is to clean it up. It can't be a minute too soon. That's great. No further discussion. Item 4. One of our ventures recently, John and I went and talked to a homeowner on Patton Avenue between 8th and 9th Street. And it was interesting because it was sort of a laundry list of the kind of complaints that we all have experienced and problems we've all experienced, and which we would like to see action on. He is in a beautiful, nice block there on Patton. Very classic San Pedro block with big overhanging trees. Ficus trees that won't quit, and that's part of the problem. There are a couple of examples in that block of the worst of broken up sidewalks in San Pedro. Huge overhanging ficus trees that shade the street and pose a dilemma because the sidewalk is unsafe. Really ought to be repaired post haste, but we get into the whole situation of parkway trees, especially historic, in quotes, or gigantic trees, and their place in the neighborhood. And it's more than just responding to one person's concerns about it. I hope that we can figure out a mechanism here to talk to some of the other neighbors there about the situation and see how far people are willing to go to have the sidewalks fixed. It ought to be a simple matter, but with those huge trees and their root systems, they are beautiful trees. They're shade trees, and it's tough to think of trimming them to an extent that might kill the tree itself in order to repair a sidewalk. But the sidewalk has to be fixed. So that's the kind of dilemma we see in many neighborhoods around here. His other concern is automobiles speeding, well, vehicles, trucks, cars, motorcycles, bicycles, I assume, speeding through the neighborhood without regard for the residences. And we suggested that the first step there is to file a complaint, and we will be working with him on that. And usually the first step is for the LAPD to offer heightened enforcement if they have the manpower and the capability to do it. Other steps beyond that would include traffic studies, stop signs, etc. There does need to be some tree trimming there to make a stop sign on a side street more obvious, that kind of thing. So it's sort of a potpourri of a number of elements that have come together to make the street less safe than it should be. Forgive me if I'm moving around. I got a puppy trying to climb up on me, and at some point he'll be biting. So I got to at least remain aware of his presence. So it's a combination of the kinds of issues we see quite a bit here in town. We hope we can help the man and his neighbors, and we will be working with him on that. And
I can send some photos to everyone in the email so they can get an idea of that, how bad that sidewalk is.
yeah, please do, John. It's a classic case of infrastructure being destroyed by angry nature, I guess you'd say, or nature doing its thing.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, it looks pretty, you guys, it looks pretty bad. I mean, at one point when Dan was on the high ridge of it, I mean, it looked like it was, you know, just like a sewer in the street. I mean, you got to picture this thing, it goes up and down like a wave, but I mean, pretty high. It's pretty disgusting. Yeah.
one of the worst ones we've seen. And you've all seen situations like this. I did think that if I stepped off the edge of that sidewalk, Ron, I could very easily sprain or break an ankle. So it's a perilous thing, and the city needs to be responsible for it. But we want to approach it in such a manner that they don't just simply come in and hack out the tree or whatever. The city arborist needs to be involved, and it's a process, as you all know. We've seen it before, and we'll continue to see it. But we want to work with the man and his neighbors to come to some kind of resolution to the issue. That is, and John, yeah, it would be helpful if you'd send those pictures. They're dramatic, so it'd be great.
Yeah. I'll get
Thank
them
you.
out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Unless there's any comment on that, and if you think of something later, we can always come back to it, an item. Item 5, though, is the Defense Fuel Supply Point property on North Gaffey Street. I've been in contact on a regular basis with the public information officer in Seal Beach, who has been as forthcoming as he can about what's going on with the process. And the process is that the Navy is still negotiating with one potential lessee to define the use of the process of the property, and to perhaps set up a lease agreement. They plead the fifth on everything. The government agencies and the vendors can't talk about an ongoing process. I personally find that kind of hard to believe, but I'll take it at face value for what he says. He says that it probably be at least another month before they hear anything. We will try to stay on top of it. Somebody used to say, I'm about to tell you more than I know. Well, I don't know anything, but I had the impression talking to him, and in fact, I had a sense that perhaps the use of the property will not be as bad as we fear it could be. And I don't know anything beyond that, because he doesn't know anything beyond that. But at least it was a nudge that, well, I don't want to say any more to jinx it or to curse it or anything else, but we are staying on top of it with him, and he's good about communicating. But I had enough emails from him, so I called him directly, and he told me everything he could, which is basically nothing. But I came away from the conversation feeling that there may be something to work with for us. So we shall see. It'll be another month or two before anything happens. That's all there is on that right now. Can we, if nobody minds, John, can we jump to number 7 for a minute?
Yeah.
Which is the status of the proposed cannabis place on Gaffey. Now that we know that Christina Smith's husband has moved over to the opposite corner of Gaffey and Channel, kitty corner from where he was, that building is empty. And John, do you know anything more about it? John Barbera?
No, I've tried to get some more information. I tried to talk to Diane about it, but she was out of town. And I don't think they have from, I talked to William Urzo, and he's saying that he doesn't know why they haven't done anything. I think they're waiting on paperwork or okay or
No,
insurance. There's something.
he was the previous owner of the property.
Yeah,
Is the
that
sale
Urso Air Conditioning. He owned he owns that whole strip.
is the sale complete? The property sale?
From what I understand, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
But it's I don't know if he says if it's tied up with insurance, other legal, is it room enough to do what he wants to do and all of that,
Yeah. Parking and that kind of thing.
parking's a pain over there,
Yes. Well, so my understanding of this is as a legitimate business, as defined by what's legal in the state of California now, we can't challenge the use of the property as a business unless it's within 500. Oh, I see a hand. I see your hand, Chuck. Unless it's within 500 feet of certain facilities. But I do feel that we can kind of pick around the edges to get some mitigation in terms of signage, perhaps parking, that sort of thing. Chuck, I know you had commented on this before. Please go ahead.
Well, I think I verified the fact that it was not within a legal distance. It was within illegal distance for the skate park. So I don't understand why it's going through. Why we're
It's-
not finding it, why we're not bringing that up.
It's not within a legal distance.
It's within an illegal distance.
Oh, okay. Okay. I hear what you're saying. Vic, would you? Vic, I
No,
think you
we-
had something similar.
We did a measurement on Google Maps when we talked about this before, and I believe the distance, the straight line distance was 400 feet, and it has to be at least 500.
Okay. Well, based on it being within less than 500 feet from a recreational facility or a park. Is that correct? Vic?
Yeah, I did the distance from the address of the cannabis place to the skate park.
So we're calling the skate park officially a park,
Well,
a recreational facility, right?
I would say it's recreational, yeah.
Well, so's the marijuana, apparently. Okay, no, I'm kidding and I'm sorry.
No, but when you see at the time that they went for this, that skate park is closed, and they probably did their due diligence and went around and saw that it wasn't being used anymore. And little did they know that it's being worked on to reopen again. So that could be our clause in there.
Okay. Well, then, does it make sense to contact the council office about that particular issue?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Okay, we'll do that. Can't hurt to ask, and maybe it'll come to nothing, and maybe I'm just being an old prude, not even worrying about it, but I think we do need to play by the rules to the extent they exist. So I will call the council office tomorrow.
We definitely deserve an explanation.
That's a great way of putting it. Deserve an explanation. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. It's a good point. Hey, great. Thanks. Now back to item number 6, and I want to pick everybody's brain here. I know we've talked off and on about the rail noise at the at the port and on Gaffey Street, etc. But I'd like to ask each member of the committee here, since we all, I believe, maybe with the exception of Armando, we all live within hearing distance of those train tracks, and maybe Armando hears them too, I'm not sure. But how much are we in fact bothered by the train noise? Can I hear opinions? Chuck, yes, sir.
I don't hear them at all. I have double pane windows. If I'm outside, I can hear it, but in the house, I cannot hear them.
Okay, John Barbera.
Well, I can hear them from the house. I hear 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. You can hear it, and I mean, it is annoying, you know. I mean, especially when you gotta, you know, people like my wife's got to work the next day, and I'm sure everybody else, you know, that has to go to work in the area. You know, this would be a good opportunity to do a survey, maybe, that we can send something out to the community, you know, from Taper all the way, like where John DeMiglio lives, all the way, you know, down to, you know, Gaffey or you know, or Channel Street and Miraflores, I mean.
Yeah.
If we can somehow send, you know, hey, John, do you hear it pretty good at like in the middle of the night, in the morning, in like 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning?
Yes, all the time.
All the time, right? And it's like almost every, is it me, or is that it's like every hour and 15 minutes it goes, you hear them.
For some reason lately, it's been less for some reason, but
You're right. I've only heard the other night. I only heard it twice.
right. And still at times, even less on the weekend, early morning, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And also late at night, it's still happening sporadically at different times.
Is it because we're not getting a lot of shipment in on those nights? Maybe that's why it's slow, that you don't hear them, or
I don't know what the schedule is for those things coming in, the trains coming in, or if they're trucking it differently or if they're piping it differently. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The main reason why we got the trains is because they complained about the pipeline, and that was at Gunther, I think her name is, and then that brought on more trains and more noise, basically.
Yes,
So
yes, I think you're right.
This is where we are at this point, because I've been here since 1992, and I've never heard as many trains as I'm hearing now.
Yeah, this last year has been.
Also, if for everybody's information coming up, the port is going to be running a lot more trains. They're not going through the canal. That's why we have the problems we do now. The Orient is dumping everything here, and they decided to train it across country. So the canal became, it didn't work out. It hasn't worked out. It takes too much time to go through that canal and to the East Coast or Gulf area. So what happens is the kind of exchange is automation, and the rails are going to pick up to offset the automation to keep more jobs here in the port, just for everybody's information.
John, that's some of the most interesting information I've heard in a long time, because it sounds like what I've always believed. But so that's nice. But the prediction was a long time ago, and I bought into it, that the Chinese were going to widen the Panama Canal, and with an eye towards more goods going to specifically Houston and Tampa on the Gulf Coast, but then even around to Charleston and stuff. And what you're saying about them finding separate from the whole labor issue, what you're saying about them finding it's more expensive because it actually adds days by a more expensive mode of transportation, I guess. That is so interesting. And that does suggest that the train traffic, truck traffic to an extent, but train traffic especially, will be building from LA to points east. That is really good information, really, really interesting. And
Yeah, that-
but John DeMeglia, to bring it back to the micro level, am I correct? Do you sleep odd hours? Do you work different shifts or?
Yeah,
Are you
I'm
print-
up till, sometimes I get home at 1, sometimes I get home at 3.
Uh-huh.
So I'm sleeping and the train wakes me up.
Okay.
Different times. I'm trying to sleep at 7, 8 in the morning. The train's blasting their horns. You know, there's a solution to this stuff. And even Pat Nave was saying with the dividers that come down, doubled up the whole bit.
Yeah.
The thing is that what they're doing is that little yard is small, and they're shifting that stuff around. So being that they have more trains, they're shifting the liquid stuff, and it's causing more traffic in that area. The trains are moving and blocking that area more, and the horns are just blasting.
I see.
Makes sense.
John, you raise another interesting point. And I've asked this before, and frankly, I probably had the answer and I've forgotten it, so forgive me. The train noise that we hear is primarily the belt line coming to the butane tanks, or can we hear actual port train noise from over the freeway?
Okay. The bulk of the loud noise is coming from the tanks here across from Home Depot. You can hear, and on certain days, and more like, let's say Craig, where Craig's at, because he's up higher, you can hear, and I don't hear it as much where I'm at because I'm in a lower section of San Pedro.
Yeah.
You don't hear as much. You can hear it, but it's not as loud. The harbor horns that come around, there's not that many intersections. There's the one intersection between China Shipping and Yangming across from the police station. That's the bulk of the noise right there, and a little bit of Trade Pack as you go down to Wilmington. They run the trains there. Those are the bulk of the noise we're getting right now. That's it. And maybe on a, I can even hear, I hear the foghorns from the ships on a foggy day
Yeah.
at my house, from my house.
Yes.
Yeah, we hear that too.
That's nice. I like that, and it's part of San Pedro, I think.
No,
Well,
that's
John,
okay.
John, you've raised another interesting point. My wife likes the sound of the trains, and I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I like the sound of the train, the romance of the road and all that stuff, and far off places, and oh boy, we're going to Kansas City, stuff like that.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
enjoys it.
but what happens when you're trying to sleep?
Yeah.
Well, I guess she sleeps more soundly than I do, but yeah, we have a dichotomy here. We have people who actually like it. We have people who think it's part of the commerce, so we can't question it. And then we have a lot of good people who say it's disturbing to sleep, and if there's a solution, we ought to pursue it. And I think, and the other thing I wanted to mention, the thing that really keeps me awake at night is the intermodal transport, the transfer vehicles at the port moving cans around and slapping them and putting them in piles and stuff. That clatter, that crash, and
Well,
of course,
not only do you hear that, but John, you can hear do they have the beeping noise all the time or only when they back up? Because a lot of times you can hear the beeper the beeping noise of those things.
Yes, that is
Yeah,
true.
let me address that. I'm down
Please.
there every day. The beeping used to be only backing up, but now safety and all this stuff, and they put more flags up. They put lights on the flags, and because there's so many accidents happening down there. And there's more noise than ever. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Those top handlers, what they're called top handlers, those are the ones that beep. The big loud noises, when you hear that big boom, those are lids coming off the ship that are hitting the ground.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, those are the lids, because there's a top deck, and you got all the containers stacked up on the top deck. Once they do that top deck, then they take the lids off, and then they go below deck. So you're gonna
Wow.
hear so many lids coming off the ships,
Jeez.
especially China right now. They're so busy. There's so many ships. They got nonstop between China and Yangming on the 126 side. There's so many ships right now. It's unreal. They can't. There's the cargo stacked up. They can't even get it out. There's not enough truckers to get it out. Truck drivers. It's
Right.
just crazy. Right now, it's just crazy.
I noticed a lot of cargo ships beyond the lighthouse that are just parked out there.
There's 30-something ships anchored out, cargo ships,
Waiting to come in?
waiting to come in. So
Wow.
what I'm saying is when the Orient decided to dump here in LA and Long Beach, it created a lot of problems. So instead of going through the canal, so it was overwhelming. And then with COVID and people getting sick, and they don't have enough trained operators, and people retiring, kind of PMA dropped the ball on hiring. So now they're trying to catch up. It's a catch-up deal.
I see.
We'll see what
Fascinating.
happens, because they also say that China's coming down with the virus again strong, and they're going to start closing factories over there too. So it's just a crazy time right now.
It's totally in flux.
Yeah.
Wow. Great information, John. This is great. Chuck. Yes, sir.
I want to set the record straight with something John said. The pipeline that was closed down had nothing to do with transferring the propane or butane. That was just coming in from ships. The ships were
Oh.
stopped from coming into the port because of the safety issues. So
Okay.
the pipeline was dead, was not being used when it was closed down.
Okay.
Number
Can I-
two,
can I, let me,
Just a minute, John. We'll come back to you, John. Yes, Chuck. Number
Number
two.
two, I thought someone did a survey about the train noise. I remember getting a card in the mail. I filled it out and sent it in. So there was a survey done somewhere by someone. I thought it was
Yeah,
a neighborhood council, but I guess not.
I think there were 44 responses, as a matter of fact. And maybe that's a huge response. Anyway, I think, John, let me finish this, and then I want to come back to John DeMegville. I think what we want to do on all these issues, especially bigger ones, is get more real input from people. And by the way, whether the pipeline shutting down had anything to do with it or whatever, to me, the point is the situation exists, and we need to look at it as it is. The noise exists, and I was asking just for people's input about whether it bothered them or not, but the fact is there is a solution apparently, which is the creation of the quiet zones, which Pat has talked about, and I've been reading about it, and it's doable, but it's a process. It is a process. But what we're effectively doing is asking the port to spend port money to enhance the grade crossings. And whether it's one grade crossing or 4 or 6, if you add in Wilmington, if it does to quote our late friend Pete, if it improves the quality of life for the neighbors, and if we're asking the port to spend money that they have, we're not asking them to spend money they don't have. And if we can show them what the problem is, and now I guess we get back to maybe the talking to the neighbors and stuff. If we can show them written evidence that it is a community concern, then I think that's a logical, maybe a better way to approach it than just us sending a letter saying, do this. Our letter is written, and I think it's not a bad letter, but I think we need to go to the port armed with some is it meta information from the public, as well as a real understanding for the port as to how it impacts people, including people such as John and other longshoremen who are impacted by it daily. But of course, they're not the only ones. It's everybody that's impacted by it. I laughed last month because I've talked to some people at Harbor Highlands, residents there, especially people out on the front row right at Gaffey. And the most hilarious answer was the guy who said, "Oh, trains? No, I'm from New York. I can sleep through anything." So there's always that kind of person. But there are a lot of us who have difficulty.
Yeah.
We live in a loud town, in a loud city, and we can't do a lot about a lot of the noise. But if there is something that we can do that, while expensive, is not an overwhelming cost to the governing authority, which is the port, I think it's worth asking them about it. But going in armed with as much good information as we can. So that's how I wanted to answer that. John, did you want to? I really don't want to get stuck on the pipelines, but
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, let me hit on some things that has been said that you said. Like your wife, when I first moved here in 1992, I loved the sound of the train.
Uh-huh.
Now it's just become way too much, way too often. Before it was like we sat here when we first bought the house and go, "Oh, neat! Listen to the train." It was neat. But
Yeah.
And then also we didn't have a driveway going to a soccer field back then.
Yeah.
We had this scrap metal dock which made noise in itself and dirt in itself. That my backyard was dirty the whole time, but the trains really didn't affect me as much as that stuff did. But now it's a turnaround, and Chuck was talking about the pipeline. Once the pipeline shut down, then they still have to get that fuel to those deals and from the train to load the trucks up, or however they ship it out. So that's the reason why there's more trains than there was.
Well, is there simply more material in those tanks now?
They're constantly using it a lot more than they did. Well, no,
Yeah.
not more material, because it used to, like Chuck said, it came from the ship through a direct pipeline.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And then they shut it down. They shut that
Right,
pipeline down.
Right.
So that's what's happening.
Yeah. So, well, I just to focus back to where we are, the fact is that the trains come and go, they make noise, and I don't think it's the biggest issue in San Pedro, but I do think it is an inconvenience to the residents that we can approach the port about in an intelligent way. And I really agree with you, John, that the romance of the rails has faded over time as the volume has
What does your
built.
wife think? Has it faded for her?
Pardon me?
What does your wife think? Has it faded for her?
As I said, John, to put it politely, I think she sleeps more soundly than I do.
Yeah. And let me
So,
tell you something about myself.
Yes.
I lived on a tugboat for 25 years. And there's nobody that experienced more noise than me and slept through stuff like I did.
Okay,
This is
Okay.
annoying.
so this is something in your spectrum of your hearing that cuts through your sleep and gets to you.
As much hearing as I probably lost through the years, this train goes right through me. I mean,
Wow.
it's crazy.
Wow. Wow.
So, you know,
Good.
I mean, I bought the house here, the trains were there when I bought the house, and it is what it is, but I think the harbor department has a ton of money.
Yes,
It's
yes, they
unreal.
do. Yes,
And
they
how
do.
we can't just put a couple, make it, you know, and, you know, standing thing was when I talked to some, in fact, I talked to Augie about it. And he goes, yeah, the word was, is the train driver has a ex-wife in our area and he just constantly blows a horn.
Sounds
You
like
know,
the
and
captain
that's
of
what it
that
sounds like, to tell
Italian,
you the truth.
sounds like the captain of that Italian cruise ship that keeled over, hit the rocks and keeled over. Anyway,
To impress
this is-
his girlfriend or his wife or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so Chuck, I'll get to you in just a second. I just want to say, I think we should, I'm not at all hesitant to ask the port to spend the money. I do want to present information that's relevant and useful and is meaningful to the community. So it's something I want to continue to work on with everyone on the committee involved and aware. Chuck, anything right now?
I just wanted to, you asked about, are they using more fuel in those tanks or putting more fuel in the tanks? The fuel comes in refineries over in Wilmington and Carson,
Right,
and it's just, it's what they cannot use in their processing. So they ship the excess over there to Rancho.
right.
That's all it is.
So
And then it
but
goes out
I
from
guess
there. It
my
goes-
question was, are they turning out more product than they have in the past? Therefore, there are larger quantities that need to be moved out by rail? It doesn't even matter. I was just curious.
It's not all- It goes back and forth, by the way, between the refineries and the tanks.
Okay, back and forth. That's the answer. And the result is the trains move back and forth, which is why we're talking about it. Okay. Well, that's good. Any other hands raised on this one? I appreciate it. We'll move forward and try to have some kind of plan for next month's meeting to talk about. We talked about briefly about the weed farm. We're gonna think of that distance item as a wedge that we can use to give some food for thought to the authorities who are approving this place. I want to thank everybody. Great discussion, good participation. Thank you. And this is I believe we're back on schedule for our regular meetings and fourth Tuesday of every month. And did you all get the list of upcoming meetings?
Yep.
I hope you all did. That it lists our fourth Tuesday of every month meeting dates through January, I think. So I hope we all got it. If you didn't, let John Barbera or me know and we'll get that to you. And with that, gee, the whole committee's here. That's really nice. Thank you. It's good to see you all remotely, virtually or otherwise. And by the way, I want to just on a personal note, we are in COVID lockdown in my family right now. My son-in-law tested positive about a week ago. He's left my daughter and our grandkids and us. Not, we don't live with them, but we live close. So we're fending for ourselves. Our grandson's out of school, that sort of thing. And my son-in-law, who does have some mild symptoms, but is getting better. He has successfully decamped to the DoubleTree Hotel in the marina. So he's safely away, has his meals delivered and all that. So the good news is that all the rest of us have tested negative, and that's, I feel very good about that. And we should start coming out of our lockdown, hopefully by this weekend. So
Is the hotel covered by insurance?
Jack, they were aware of, when he checked in, they were aware of it. They,
I mean, does insurance company pay for it?
oh, that's a great question. No, I don't think so. It's on
Oh,
him. It's on
That's too
him.
bad.
He had flown to London on business, and so he may be having discussions with his employer about that. But we're pretty sure it was the flight one way or the other that where the problem occurred. Anyway, John DeMaglio, yes, sir.
Yeah, this is a really important conversation for the time. I got 4 people that were tested positive for COVID. They're cousins of mine that are distant from me. 2 of them had taken the vaccines, okay, and they still got it. One took the Pfizer, and the other one took the Johnson & Johnson, and they both got it. And then the other 2 didn't get vaccinated at all, and they got it. So, this stuff is nothing to fool around with. And it's shocking. It's shocking that, you hear people that have taken the vaccine, like myself, I've taken the vaccine, and they're still getting it, which is kind of scary.
My son-in-law is 40. He is fully vaccinated, and this happened. And I think 2 months ago, we would have thought it almost impossible. But this variant is the devil among us.
Yes.
And
Right.
John, my wife works over at Torrance Memorial, John, and on the end of June, they were averaging just 2 to 3 people daily. But as of, what's today, Tuesday, as of last Friday, they were already up to 66 people already. Already. That's, and she says, and she was telling us that the other day that the people that have the vaccine will not get the full dumpness of this virus. Because what happened is it's the Delta virus that's out there now that's, corresponding with that. And then they said there's also one called Delta Plus. And so, but at least when you're vaccinated, you'll see ask your cousins, the 2 that are vaccinated, they're probably way less than what the 2 that didn't get vaccinated. And that's what they're seeing. The doctors are seeing that the ones that vaccinated, they just a day or so, and then they can quarantine, but by the 3rd or 4th day, they're usually doing a lot better. So it's at least the vaccine does help,
Right. But they did feel, they felt it. They felt it.
They got the fatigue, the sweats, the vomiting. Yeah, that's
loss of taste and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it still didn't know how long it's going to linger on for them. I'm not sure. And I haven't talked to the 2 that didn't get vaccinated. I haven't talked to them to see how they're handling it. But and I just don't think it's over yet. It's going to be something else after this.
Exactly.
We said the same thing. One of the things we were talking, now they're finding kids that are going to school, that they've got a lot of kids that had gotten it now, and certain amount. So I'll bet you any amount of money that by October, November, they're going to turn around and shut the schools down again if this keeps progressing the way it is. And the other thing, I think it's going to be just like the influenza. We're going to get this shot every year, like the flu shot. It's just going to be something that that's gonna be with us. I don't think this is not within a couple of years go away because, yeah, it's just not. And you know, on the other note for your son-in-law, Dan,
Yes,
he should have never went to see Queen Elizabeth. That's all I'm gonna say.
that's right. That's right. Blimey, blimey. Hey, John, we wish your cousins, all of them, well.
Yeah,
It's a tough thing to go through, and certainly hope for a good outcome. for
Are they
them.
here in California? Are they here, John, and near us,
Oh,
or
yeah, they're in San Pedro. They're all in San Pedro.
Oh,
are
Yeah,
they
they're
been at where they've been staying? Have they been in a hospital at?
None of them's
On seven?
hospitalized. My cousin,
Good.
my one cousin, and his son both together got it, and both his wife and his daughter are nurses, RNs. So they're being well taken care of, that's for sure.
that's
Yeah.
good.
But,
That's good.
but it's especially with Dan with grandkids and stuff like that. It's just
Yep.
crazy. It's crazy stuff. So
Well, the good news is the kids and our daughter and I, in fact, have tested negative. So very
Good.
happy about that. And I think my wife goes on Thursday for hers. So we're going to be fine, and we are fine. And I hope the best for your cousins. And
Yeah.
Anyway, I do think the bottom line is no, we're not out of it by a long shot, and it will evolve into something that requires annual maintenance. I think that's true as well. So, all right, everybody,
And
thank you.
also down on the docks, go to work and saying, you go in, you check in for work in a dock and say, well, 2 people tested positive at this site. It's just coming back so strong. It's
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just crazy. It's
John,
just-
do you guys have to get tested?
We got preference to the vaccine and all that stuff. When it was coming on strong before the vaccine, we had to go in, we had to get a temperature check and all that, but that's all gone away. Once they said everything was good, that all went away. The companies took all that away.
Yeah.
Now, you don't know if you're working with somebody that has it or not. You don't know. So it's
Yeah,
scary.
Exactly.
you've all seen the news, what they're doing to the hospitals. If you're not vaccinated by the end of September, they're out of a job. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
doctors and everybody,
Well, and
Gonna
now
be
that
more,
they've
more and more and more. If they're gonna start showing cards to get on a plane or whatever, and I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody on a plane with me hasn't had a vaccine or maybe is carrying it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
precisely.
Excuse me, Dan?
Yes, yes, Chuck.
This is Armando. This is Armando.
Armando.
I gotta
Sorry.
go to the head.
Well,
I gotta use the head.
Armando, you're good. I think we are done. So many thanks. Glad you were here.
Thank you. Take care,
Okay,
everybody. Have a good weekend.
take care. And on that note, gentlemen, we may all need to take a break ourselves. Thank you. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you at next month's meeting, and we'll follow up on a bunch of this stuff, and we'll let you know as we go. Thank you all very much.
okay,
Night, everybody.
all right.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks. Night, David. Night, John.
And Dan,
Night, Vic.
I stopped the recording, Dan.
Oh, so okay, so I can,
Good night, Mary Ellen.
Good night, John Boy.
Yeah. Good night, Miss Michael Learned. Got it. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay.
Okay.
I'm ending as well.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Oh,
Matt.
well,
get out.
John. Okay, everybody hang up. Bye-bye.
All right. No. I don't know. We're not doing it. Where are you ending? Show me.
Shut that thing off. I don't know how to do it either. Oh,